That's Clarissa. No, it's all right. No, it's all right.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so excited to have everybody here this evening for the first Daisy Dream event. Everybody clap it up. Yeah! All right, so the Daisy Dream Project is one of my biggest dreams. Actually, everything's my biggest dream. The dream I come up tomorrow is probably gonna be even bigger, whoever knows, right? So I'm so excited to be here today to have this panel with all these amazing individuals who are here to share their thoughts and about what's going on out here in the world. So a little bit about me. My name is Dr. Glow. I'm the founder of the Daisy Dream Project. I thought about it one day when I was sitting at Momentum. Some of those of you might know about Momentum. I was there and I was in a basic and I was like, I'm gonna start this nonprofit. And here we are. Very, very excited about it. So there's so many great things about the Daisy Dream Project. It's focused definitely on creating space for Black and Brown children and families to make sure they are excelling within their communities and getting access to information as well as access to resources. So we're going to have a great conversation this evening with our panelists that are here with us today to talk about their perspectives as well as what they can actually provide individuals who come through Daisy Dream Project stores. Of course, this is a fundraising event tonight. I am going to be clearly asking for donations at the end of this, where you can donate directly on the Daisy Dream website, which is www.daisydreamproject.com, or excuse me, .org. Me messing up already. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. But let's get into this conversation. We have some great individuals here with us today. I'm going to ask individuals who are actually in the Zoom, please make sure that you're keeping your mics muted because we are recording this. Now I'm recording it. Should be. All right, but I'm here. Hi, guys. All right, so let's get started with everybody here today. So we have a fun-packed evening. We will be starting off with our panelists. Thank you, panelists, for joining us today. First up, we have Deo Olitoken. Hello, Deo. Deo is representing Gifted and Purpose Alliance. So Alliance, Deo, please share with everybody, who are you? What's going on? Talk about yourself.
I got you. Thank you, Dr. Glow. Hello, everybody. Hello, fellow panelists. My name is Deo Olatoken. I am an author, actor, youth advocate, event MC. I do a few things. But the reason why I'm here is because I also work in the community as well. I have a nonprofit called GPA, which stands for the Gifted and Purpose Alliance. And what I do along with my team is go into schools, community centers, organizations, and help young people identify their gifts and talents so they can pursue a career doing what they love, in a nutshell.
All right, kind of fancy. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So next we have up somebody who know me like for like a really, really, really long time. Like when people really call me Gloria on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to bring up the most amazing Erica Peterson, who is definitely here representing the parents within our community. Erica.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Peterson. I am a community parent advocate. I also work in our city, in Mount Vernon City's school district as the parent resource coordinator. So it is my job to make sure that to get more and more of our parents involved within the schools and with the child's education, and making sure that the parents are good themselves, so then they could be good for their kids. So that's my role here, and I'm so glad to be here this evening. Gloria.
I knew he's gonna do it. All right, Erica, thank you so much for being here. So next I have Nubia Martin, who is representing Birth from the Earth. What you got?
Yes, greetings. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Nubia Earth Martin, and I am the president and founder of a nonprofit in Yonkers called Birth from the Earth. And we help to educate and empower families from preconception all the way through, postpartum, breastfeeding, and child rearing to make sure that they are getting adequate, accessible, culturally competent care. And then we also train birth workers and midwives so that we have more people that look like us caring for us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here today. And lastly, we have, I asked your name earlier and I'm going to mess it up right now. Tabia Beckett. Yes, I got it right. Wonderful. Definitely. So tell us all about you, what you got going on over there.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tabia Beckett. I am founder of Self Lovely LLC, which is a multifaceted organization. At our core, we empower families to homeschool their children and to eat foods that grow from the earth by teaching them how to garden. And we are also a holistic organization, so we empower people to make holistically better choices for themselves and empower them to be the best them for their families.
Wonderful. So I'm so excited to have you all here to hear your perspectives on what's going on. So my audience who's also here with us today, please feel free to raise your hand if you have questions. You can drop questions in the chat as we go along. We really want this to be an engaging conversation. For those of you who are watching via Facebook, please comment, share, and comment, and share. Please make sure your comments are more than 5 words, because that's when it really counts. Just so you know, a little social media education for you out there. But we really want to have this as engaging as possible. So I'm going to really tap into the first question, and it's all going to be about partnership. When you're starting a nonprofit, one of the key things you worry about who you're partnering with, right? So that's why I have so many different organizations representing different positions during this panel, because it's important that the Daisy Dream Project has partnerships. So Nubia, share with me your perspective on how different partnerships and organizations matter.
Sure. So I truly believe in
Nubia, you're muted.
Am I muted still? Got me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So I truly believe that, we are stronger together, and we certainly need people and families to know that there are a variety of different services out there. So for me to know who my neighbors are, who are offering different types of care, for me to be able to refer out and to make sure that people know what's available, what's accessible is really important. So I'm super grateful to connect with some of the other organizations as I'm hearing them introduce themselves, because I know the families that I serve could absolutely benefit from their services. So for me, community is everything, and partnerships is the foundation that helps us be able to better serve our community.
Great. And I asked you that question first because as I started this nonprofit, you were one of the first people that I spoke to about this, about partnering with. So thank you for that and bringing your resources available, because you start from the beginning, especially when we start talking about preconception, when we're talking about families and building out families, because one of the key things that Daisy Dream Project will be talking a lot about is family planning in our communities, because we don't necessarily do enough of that. So I'm happy to have you here. So Dale, what's your perspective on partnerships?
Hi, partnerships, just to add on to what Nubia stated, it's essential. No one can do anything great by themselves. Even as an organization, you can only do so much by yourself. As a startup organization, the brain power that it takes, just for example, to do an event, the manpower, the women, like the amount of bodies it takes to make something spectacular happen. It usually happens best when there's partnerships with or other organizations. And I say that because I just had an arts festival in the summer, and I literally had to call on different, people that I had just on my phone, like, hey, I need tables for my vendors. Hey, I need chairs. Hey, I need, and it's like, oh, okay, what time you need it? So having those things at your disposal as an organization allows your vision to be carried out. Because the truth of the matter is, we all have this vision for whatever it is that's placed on our hearts. We want to manifest this dream, this idea for the people, for the community. And in order to do so, different organizations, they offer, something that can elevate your organization to the next level. So it always baffles me when I see, and I have seen this, and I still do see this, organizations hoarding their gifts and their resources to themselves as if we're in some competition. From my understanding, the nonprofit world or community service is about serving people. So why, does any one organization want to be the only one known for this or the only one known for that? It still baffles me till this day. But at the end of the day, we need partnerships to see the vision come to pass. The old African proverb: if you want to go somewhere fast, go by yourself. You want to go somewhere far, you take someone with you. And that's part of like what you're doing here, bringing these organizations together for one common goal. And that's what community is: common unity. We're here together to make something happen together. And lastly, I'll leave with this: like we have to stop treating community service in our communities like the streets. The streets teach us every man for themselves, right? Do it on your own, pull up your bootstraps, and nobody's really successful that way. No real community is successful that way, doing things by yourself. Everything great that happens, it happens because a collective of people came together, threw their egos to the side, and just made something beautiful happen.
Yeah, being part of the collective is a huge thing. I love that word collective. Is one of my favorite words, and I use it all the time with so many different things because I'm a person of networking and connecting individuals, right? Because when we connect together, it's like we have one little seed that grows out to a tree, but the more branches it has, the stronger the tree is, right? You can have a strong base, but you need those branches to survive. So the more that we branch out to each other and connect, we're going to have a forest of networks for opportunities for the families that we want to service. So I think that's really important. Erica, you want to speak on, especially working within the school district and parents and finding resources. One of the key things, especially in a community like Mount Vernon, we find that people don't know everything all the time. Talk about your role and how you're going to communicate and how that's going to matter for people from Mount Vernon.
So Dale was totally, I totally agree with what he was saying. When you have organizations that work in silos who are doing great work, but people across the street don't know about it, people in the schools don't know about it, teachers don't know about it, the community doesn't know about it, it's really the only thing that benefits is that one organization. Yeah. When you link up with other organizations, when you do that, partnership, that creates a healthier community, in my opinion. When we have these meetings where and it's not only does it create a healthier community, it gives you more pride in the community. We can then take that information, and for myself, I can share it with parents, I can share it out with teachers, with students, and if they're like, wow, that happens, that's going on. And it's like, yeah, so when you have good, strong, when you in partnerships within the community, the only thing that benefits is the community. And it can only go up from there. So especially with parents, from my end, it's very important that I partner with other community organizations because I need them. If I have a parent who's food insecure, I need okay, I can tell you to go so and so. If I have a family who's behind in rent, who's about to get evicted, I now, by partnering with these community organizations, can say, here you go, call up so and so and so and so, or I can call them up and get them connected. So
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that because that definitely makes sense. Tabby, what you got? I see you raising your hand over there. You got a thought?
Oh, no, that was me clapping. Like,
Yeah, so
But-
while, since you're already speaking, share your thoughts on that.
I think partnerships are, like everyone on the panel has been saying, very important to keep communities going. I think especially in our communities, we are a little leery of partnering with each other, and it has caused us to be behind in comparison to other communities that you see thriving. And I believe that as we mature and as we unlearn a lot of the ways of our oppressor, that we can come together and create some really magnanimous things and projects in our communities and just see a complete renewal. Thank you.
Yeah, great thoughts, great thoughts. So let's move into our next question. So a big thing we're talking about is parents, right? And how to engage with parents. So each of you have to engage with parents based off different organizations that you run. So parent engagement for me is so important. That was the base of my dissertation, was really on parent engagement in urban community for children with diagnosed disabilities, which is also the base of the Daisy Dream Project, as it's going to focus clearly on children with differing abilities, right? And making sure that these parents have resources that they need to be able to succeed. So what are some things that you would say about an organization for working with parents and how important parent engagement is? Who would like to start? Nubia, you got something? Go.
Yeah, I love to start. So as a midwife, we teach, that as co-creators, the two parents are the child's first teacher. So we really want to make sure that they're thinking about that from conception through utero, everything that they hear, everything that they expose themselves to, what they eat, the energy between the two parents, how important that is. And the more that we can instill that in the parents to be, the more they understand how powerful their role is for this child. They really get to kind of shape and steer the direction of their life. So we want to make sure that, they have access to good food, they have access to providers that, are going to empower and listen to them. They have birth that doesn't involve, trauma. They have options around who cares for their, new child. They have options about whether they want to send their child to public school or, homeschool, and they have resources to connect with because we are their first teachers. So I think the whole idea of parenting and empowering parents as, a really influential piece to their child's life, the better we're going to see, outcomes for our children feeling that they have a really strong foundation in their community.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Erica?
And all parents are different. Not every parent wants to, come to the school every day or come. So one thing that what I found is that I connect with my parents through the students. I let the students know, like, okay, so this is what's going on, especially my high school students. This is what's going on, tell your mom and dad or whoever your caregiver is, they can come in. I'll be here till 6. I try to make my schedule work around the parent schedule. And I think that, it is a thing of, to some parents, going into a school can be a little intimidating at times. Speaking with teachers can be a little intimidating. Especially, us coming back from the pandemic and being on Zoom for so long, going back into the building can be a lot for some, and it can be a little intimidating. So, as far as them being, of course, I see all parents and caregivers as a child's foundation for the learning experience. My job is to make sure that the parents are then, you have to make sure if your mom is sick and dealing with something or about to lose her job or is making minimum wage, or your dad is working 3 jobs, it's going to be hard for them to be a healthy, successful parent at times. So we have to make sure that we're giving our parents the tools that they need to be healthy parents, to be that strong foundation for their child's learning experience. So it's crucial.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Especially even with early childhood, I'm big on teaching parents how to be advocates and how to have a voice and how to communicate and how much power you actually have with whatever lane you decide to take your child's educational experience, because you are going to be the conductor of their education. It doesn't matter what school or you do homeschooling, whatever your choice is, you are the conductor. You have complete power over that. So it's so important that they are strengthened with that knowledge so they can advocate for their children. Tabia, so from the homeschool perspective, because I know that's something that you really cherish for your own children, talk to me about that within your networks and how parent engagement looks like in those spaces.
It looks one of two ways. You either get parents who are all about teaching, co-teaching, let's get together and let's start a school and let's do things this way. Or you get parents who are in a different kind of tax bracket and they want the experience of sending their child away and, being a little bit more hands-off. And then there's me in the middle who is just trying to navigate the best of both worlds. So parent engagement can really make or break a homeschool experience because ultimately the reflection is on the parent, how the child is doing and accelerating and what kind of member of the community they develop into.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree with that with parents. And this is really important. Because, if you don't have strong parents, you don't have anything. And it doesn't matter what type of education base you have, because you need your parents to be on board. And we need to create spaces where parents feel they can be on board. And that's one of the things about opening this Sensory Gym is because it's going to be an open, honest space where people can kind of walk by. Oh, that place looks like fun. They're not knowing they're going to walk in here and get caught up in a real conversation about their children and their development and what's going on at home, and be a resource center and a space for families to be able to find stuff, right? One of the worst things you find with parents is, I didn't know where to find that at. I didn't know where to go. So being there and being open about this big old beautiful Sensory Gym, people think it's a cool space. Oh, let me do a birthday party here. Not realizing when they walk in the door is all these as a plethora of resources, right, that are open and people can see them. So we can get more help out to families who really need them. And that's a key thing that we're really looking for here. So Dale, you have a thought? I know you have a clan of young people over there at your house.
For sure, yeah. I got a village. The what's between parenting and a good education is community. Community stands in the gap and intercedes for parents' child success. As parents, we are responsible for identifying where this child or these children are gifted. What do they love? What are they passionate about? Where are they talented? And once we identify that, I believe one of our greatest responsibilities is finding establishments or programs that'll help cultivate that. Because when a child has something that they're interested in, or their talents are being acknowledged and recognized, they'll be more inclined to come to school on time. They'll be more inclined to study. They'll be more inclined to want to graduate. And I always say this in my workshops, and I say this to teachers when I talk to teachers, that you will not have this child's attention if the school doesn't offer anything that's within their interest. That's where the community, the CBOs and these partnerships, that's where they play a big role. Because even if the school does not have, I'm gonna use arts for an example, if the school does not have a fine arts program or a television studio or recording studio, right? Bringing in organizations like us and everyone that's on this panel allows the school to be able to offer what that child is interested in. And then what goes up? Attendance goes up. Right? The tardiness starts to go down. They start to become more punctual. The test scores start to go up. Not because they were any dumber or any smarter, is because their interest is being cultivated. Their talents, their abilities, their passions are being raised and groomed in this hub called school, in this hub called after school, or the program, or the center, wherever it is they're being, sent to. So as parents, it's really important to identify what does this child, if your child is always singing in the shower, or if your child is always getting in trouble in school for drawing. I literally had a friend that used to do this in middle school, always drawing, not paying attention, always drawing, but has a sketchbook full of beautiful art. Well, guess what? We need to now cultivate that. We can't just say, why are you messing up in school? Why are you not paying attention? So and the teachers can't just say, well, he doesn't pay attention to my class. He's constantly, the two of us, these two worlds need to identify, wait a minute, this is where this child is interested. This is where this child is gifted. We need to now hone in on this gift and help him or her or they cultivate this gift so that they can go to school or higher education for this. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of having, a degree or several degrees and having all the student loan debt, and it has nothing to do with where you're passionate, where you're interested, where you're gifted. You got the degrees for nothing. So that's where I believe, the parenting comes in. I'm going to advocate for my child's interests, passions, talents, and abilities. Do you guys offer this? Because if not, I'm going to find a program, or I'm going to advocate for you guys to bring it into the school.
Yeah, I think that's a great part is really just embracing the arts and the power through art. I find that art is one of the most healing things that you can do with children, around children, even as adults. I did a session the other day about the healing power of art, right, on my live. And we talked a lot about how art can help people cope and deal and experience life in a different way. So, I'm going to segue into a real important question. As we know, especially in our Black and Brown communities, we have been plagued with so much violence over the years, right? And right now with social media and some of the things that our young people are experiencing, especially our young teens, the violence is on a different level. Things that we wouldn't even consider doing at our age. I don't know. They're just really having a rough time out here. So my thing is young people, especially when it comes down to guns, right? So what do you think are some of the factors that are impacting that? And what are some of the solutions from your perspective that we should be offering in our communities? Or what other type of programming can the Daisy Dream Project actually seek out to offer and spread the word on how we can honestly save some of our young people? Because we know sports, we know art. So let's talk about this and really have a conversation around what can we do now, because our children need the help.
Yeah, I'd love to just start by saying, piggybacking on what Deo said, what we're witnessing is our children tapping into something tribal and ancestral, and they haven't really had the proper guidance or the exposure that they would have had if we weren't kind of under, colonization, where they would have had a rites of passage, they would have had an initiation, they would have had certain types of, just guidance into the different stages of maturity and what to do as they're coming into their manhood or womanhood. So they're looking for family, they're looking for leaders, they're looking for community. We see it in the way they greet each other. That's an exchange of energy. We see it in the colors that they're choosing, the beads that they're wearing. That is all part of their cellular DNA. And they simply, in my opinion, and when I'm looking at it, they need that type of elder guidance. They need a council of elders, and it doesn't have to be somebody that's 50 years older than them, right? Because they're seeking it out of somebody who's maybe 2 or 3 years older than them, but also didn't have that guidance. So when, parents might be falling short, not because they want to, but because maybe they're head of household, they're working, 9 to 5 and then going to a second job. And, teachers are doing all that they can during the hours that they're in school, but then there is that gap. So the community then needs to really open up our embrace, even wider, and recognize that what they're looking for is something that is deep in their lineage and they just need direction. So it hurts me when, if we see a group of, geese, we say that's a flock. We see a group of wolves, we say that's a pack. When we see a group of young Black people, we automatically say it's a gang. And that really, makes me know that they're already set up in a way where they're going to assume the worst. And that goes back to slave mentality. 2 or 3 are gathered together, oh, they must be plotting, right? So we need to kind of disrupt that and create spaces for them to actually gather with positivity. What are you feeling? What are you seeking? What are you looking for? And then, as Deo said, cultivate that, right? Create spaces for that, as opposed to watching this kind of school to prison pipeline play out. And, I'm in Yonkers. Yonkers has the highest conviction rate of the whole country, and people don't realize that. And it's simply because so many of them will plea out to things for fear of getting really caught up in this system. And if they had more guidance, they had more just ancestral reverence, I think, which is what it is that they're really feeling, we would see a shift in the way in which they're viewed and the way in which things are playing out, in these streets.
That was a very interesting perspective. Thank you for sharing that. As you were talking, I'm sitting like, word, yeah, that makes so much sense. It's that whole sense of belonging, right? I had the basic part, sense of belonging. You like really dug deep with that. Thank you for that offering. That was major. That was major. Erica, what do you got? So we see it right here in Mount Vernon every day.
Yeah, and you know, you also have to bring into it that you know, the times have changed. Parents have more responsibilities now. You know, more responsibilities with the same amount of money, or with less money. So we see one thing also, you know, as we came up, you know, we had churches. The churches were involved. The churches were out in the community. The churches, and now you don't see that. You really don't see that much anymore now. You really
Yeah.
don't see. You here in Mount Vernon, we have hundreds of churches, hundreds, and I can count on my one hand the last time I saw, you know, church members out in the streets, walking the streets, you know, talking to the kids, things like that. If those days are, you know, those days are they need to come. They're long gone, but they need to come back. And the church is and I'm not an avid churchgoer, so don't get me up here. But that, you know, churches play, especially the Black church. The Black church has always played a key role in our community. Even if you're Latino, the church, the Catholic Church, plays a huge role. There were events going on to get the children involved of all ages, and we're not really seeing much of that anymore. So I think that as far as community organizations making an impact, you do have, you know, here in Mount Vernon, we've got Snug. I know they're in Yonkers also. We've got Family Services of Westchester. We do have the Youth Bureau out of city. The Youth Bureau has some amazing programs. And you know, the key is to just, you got to spread the word, especially that teenage group. And you know, where I work, I'm in the ground floor at the STEAM Academy. And like, I'll go out and just start talking to the teenagers, to the freshmen and they're like, and you'd be, just so they know that someone cares about. I see them on the street. I'm like, hey guys, that alone, it gives them like, oh wait, somebody, you know, cares about me. They want to know how I'm doing, how my day is, and it engages them. And young people want to feel engaged. They want to feel like they have a voice and it matters. And we as mature, I won't say older, we as mature, that slightly older generation, we have to embrace them. And we have to pour back into them, especially for Mount Vernon. Too many times do we have people who are successful who then leave Mount Vernon and don't pour back into Mount Vernon. So one thing, I used to run the Planned Parenthood here in Mount Vernon for 10 years. That I enjoy giving back to the community that I came from. So, and I think more of us have to do that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I came back home. Right, came back home and established schools and spaces and opportunity for community and for individuals. Brought a home here. He was like, you brought a house in Mount Vernon? I'm like, yes, I did. I'm from Mount Vernon and I'm going to be in my own community. It is what it is. We're going to buy back the block one house at a time. Exactly. It is what it is, right? But we have to do that. You have the individuals who want to invest back into the community because it matters so much to be present with your community, to talk to the kids. Last summer, not summer before, I hosted a whole bunch of teen nights at our house. We had movie night, we played a game night, and we just had them just come over and just to be in a space where they can just hang out and to give them an opportunity to say, hey, you guys can come over here. We have food, we have this, you know, and it was so enriching to get them all in a circle, to have them share with things they want to change about themselves or things they find great about themselves, right? And then they made new friends and I was able to realize that, well, I can be outside. The coolest thing we had was when a high school opened up on Friday nights. And we were able to go there on Friday nights. That's what we did. We went to the high school. It didn't matter if you were an athlete. You just went there because they had hot dogs. And you just hung out, right? But we don't provide those type of spaces for young people anymore. And then we look at them crazy when they're just outside, spinning in circles. But we have to create opportunity for them to have something positive to do. And to see that we all can be this way. And walking down the street, talking to young people. I talk to young people all the time. Don't talk to them. Yes, I do. Hey, how you doing, baby? How's your day? You had a good day today? All right. You know, who? Then they're like, oh, thank you. You just never know. Tell them that they're handsome. Tell them that they're beautiful. Just pour that positive energy into them all the time, right? Because it matters. It matters. Tavia, you over there on healing and self-care. What is your perspective with our young folks?
I was going to do a corny line and be like, they need love. And I'm not just saying that because of my organization, but it's so true. They are so hurt and burdened, and they don't have the language around the things that they're feeling. A lot of them are coming from homes where they're struggling. They need understanding, they need patience, they need the spaces, like you were saying, Dr. Glow, to come and be and feel safe. Like, I can take my armor off. Yes, I'm carrying the burdens of the world, but I'm safe here. Like, I don't believe that they're inherently bad people. I believe that we have gotten here over time, and there's a lot of unlearning. And there has to be everything you've been mentioning. There has to be parent involvement, there has to be safe spaces. We have to come together. There has to be partnerships. We all have to be kind of on one accord, because it's nice when a handful of us get it, but it's hard. And it would be ideal if more of us, if this conversation spread and grew, because really, then we could create young leaders by being involved with these children, essentially, who are just misguided and misdirected, and their passions are being overlooked, and they're feeling ignored, and all of these things that, you know, we don't often have time for because we're distracted ourselves, doing our own healing, and we're not taking accountability, so they don't know what goals that we like to see, then we have impact.
Perfect, thank you. So I think we have a question here, so I'm gonna stop. Amina, we go way, way back. So Amina, you have a question?
Not so much a question, more of a statement going into what you guys just talked about as far as activities for the young teens and even children. I can remember way back when we would have roller rink, and you would bring your roller skates to the gym on a Friday night, and you would have your own roller skating activity at the elementary school. And you would have, you know, these activities that not only parents participated in, but teachers who were there. You know, Erica would know that my 6th grade teacher was her neighbor, and Mrs. Bell. And all of these things, we had such a community, and the community has kind of lost itself. And a lot of it I like to blame is the access of information. Now, we're talking about sharing of information here, but this is guided information. This is specific information. This is, you know, cultivated information that has been, you know, gone through and say, okay, this is information to go to. But where these children choose the social media, the access to information, and choose that over being part of those activities that may be still occurring that we don't know about, and they stop because they don't have enough participation. And it takes the parents to make sure they have their children participate, or have a community that makes sure that all the kids participate together. And we're walking down the block to, you know, these elementary schools and things of, you know, where these kids could participate without the social media.
Yeah, thank you for that share. We appreciate that. Dale?
Yeah, I think it's a culmination of of what everyone has said, and that the common word there is community. You know, just having, put it like this, as adults, we all have our we have this group of friends that we kick it with. We got that group of friends. We got this community that we're a part of, right? As an artist, I have a community of artists or actors that I associate with. I have a community of, you know, momentum folks. I have a community of church folks. I have, like, in all of these different communities, Dale's gonna be Dale. Like, I'm my authentic self in every single community that I'm a part of. And I think part of the problem is our young people, they're not allowed to be themselves, or they don't feel they can be themselves in every community they're a part of. So they may be one way, you know, at home, or one way when they're within their interest. But when you get on the block, you know, I can't really be myself because I gotta, you know, make sure, you know, nobody teases me, or I'm not looked at as the weakling, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a situation in middle school where I did something real stupid. And I held a gun for somebody because I didn't want to be looked at as oh no, Dale's soft or Dale's like that little moment of pressure and not being my authentic self. And how do you know that at 12, 13, right? How to be authentic. But that little moment could have cost me so much. And there are a lot of our young people who live in that cycle on a regular basis. That was just a moment for me in school. There's a lot of our young people who has to deal with that in school, you know, in their neighborhood, in their community, like on a regular basis. And I think the fear is the lack of a strong community base where they can be themselves. They can go across the street into a recording studio, right, and rap and sing and write. They can go down a block to I don't know, a art studio or whatever it is that gauges their interest. When you have that, you don't have enough room for, you know, everything else. I'm from Far Rockaway, and the kid just got shot. I think he was 15 years old at Mount Avenue, the last stop on the A train. And it's like I'm so desensitized to it. It didn't. I wasn't moved. I was just like another one. And the truth is, there's so many resources on that peninsula alone. I'm like, why isn't this information, as our sister said, like the information is not being shared on what kind of communities you can join that gauges your interests. Where are you talented? Where are you gifted? There are resources, but I'm not gonna go if it's on the other side of town. Why? I got beef over there. I can't hang over there. So the lack of community across the board, I think each project, each community should have all of these resources within one central hub so that, you know, a kid, a teenager doesn't have to fear going 10 blocks down the way where there is good information or there is a good sense of community, but he's wearing the wrong colors or he's a part of another. So anyway, this is a rabbit hole, but for me, the common thread here is community. Having a strong sense of community can alleviate a lot of this violence.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's all about what are we connecting our young people to, right? And how are we reconnecting them back to that? But, you know, I think it all starts when they're really, really young. So my next question that I'm going to go dive really into is going to talk a lot about family planning and what that looks like in our community, because it's all about how are we going to rebuild our communities, and it has to do with family. If we have strong households, represented however they may look like, single moms, mom and mom, dad is dads, whomever is in the household, we create strong environmental households where our neighbors actually speak to each other, right? Where your kids know when they go down the street, everybody's watching them, the energy shifts, right? So, you know, I was happy when I moved on my block and my neighbors came in and knocked on my door. Hi, how are you? Your new neighbor? I'm like, yeah. And we walk outside, everybody says hello to each other, right? It's this common conversation. We stand in the middle, there's a blackout. We all meet in the middle of the block with a flashlight and we see what's going on to make sure our elderly neighbors are okay. But it's all communities like that. And why are they not like that? And how can we rebuild those spaces? So I want to talk a little bit about, from my perspective, I'm finding that when we were also growing up, there was so much conversation around family and especially preconception. And let's not even get into the fact that we're not even talking about STDs. Our young people don't know what they are. Right? We don't have those conversations with them anymore. We're not talking about the concepts of teen pregnancies. We've numbed ourselves so much so that we're not even sharing with our young people on how really to be safe. And maybe I'm gonna start with you because I know that you have your space there in Yonkers. And what type of work are you doing, or what is your perspective on how we need to get back to the concept of preparing our young people for actually starting families?
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, when we have strong families, we have strong communities and strong societies. And that preconception information is so important. And I think many times, like teen pregnancy or teen pregnancy prevention is focused on the female. There's not really much preparation for the other co-creator, for the other co-parent, right? So there's like this whole thing where it's all on the female. And what's happened with that is we create this ideal of, you know, strong Black woman who can do it all herself, which we can, but that's not sustainable, right? So the only way it's going to be sustainable is, like you said, looking at the unique family structures. Who's part of that young woman or young person's community? Is it their grandmother that they live with? Is it their sister, you know, who's there that's going to be helping them, their aunties, their friends? that's their family for all intents and purposes. And that idea of, that village mentality that we used to have, that, okay, if someone saw from the window you doing something, they were going to hold you accountable to that. And that was okay. And now it's kind of like, well, that's not my child. No, it's all of our children. If it's happening to one of our children, that's our son. That's our daughters that's happening to. And we need to be that much concerned. And when people are taking on the idea or the possibility of being parents, they need to understand what a huge responsibility, but also huge honor that is, right? And, there's so many things out there to prevent us from co-creating. There's so many things to prevent us from procreating. There's so many things that are harmful in the long term. So we take an approach of natural family planning, herbal birth control, and really taking a lesson in you. How does your body work? You should know, not only the female, but the male should know what a whole moon cycle or menstrual cycle is. They should know the times when you're most fertile and what to look out for, ways that you can abstain, ways that you can protect yourself, ways that you can start to really think about planning for a family. Are you emotionally ready? Are you financially ready? Are you spiritually ready, to take on that? And then understanding that it's an agreement between three, the two co-creators, but also that unborn spirit baby. Are they coming into a community that they feel they're going to be held by all of the aunties and uncles and grandmas, or are they coming into an energy where they're afraid to come earthside? And we see that when labor stalls, we see that with stillbirths, we see that in so many different manifestations. So it's such a huge undertaking that we really start educating at a young age. Basic anatomy, like kids should know. Basic sex education that's age appropriate should be a conversation, And we really want, these young people, when they're interested in this field, to have an opportunity to immerse themselves in it. So if any high school students are ever interested in becoming a birth companion or a midwife or a childbirth educator, our programs are completely free to high school students because they need that introduction to it. It shouldn't be where they have to wait until they're already in college or they're already a parent or they're already pregnant or whatever the case may be, where they're thinking about this proactively and preconceptually.
Great answer. Thank you. I love it. And I didn't know that you actually offer classes out to high school students. That's a great resource. I might have to drop my son off over there.
Bring him. Bring our son.
Yes, definitely,
Yes.
definitely. Thank you for that share. Dale, she raised some good conversation there about how the conversation around preconception it's always about the women though. Let's go into even infertility. All of a sudden it's the first thing is like, what's wrong with the woman? What's wrong with her uterus? What's wrong with her body? Now realizing that most of the time it's not even them, it's usually coming from the other side. So Dale, I'm interested in hearing your perspective on that and about how preconception and families matter. As I know you're a very strong dad, very present father, and what that looks like and its importance.
For sure. Not as educated as our sister here on that topic, but I would say it goes back to the days of slavery. Like with the strong concept of family, they broke that up from the first time we touched soil over here. Take away the father, break up the family, right? You go into days of the civil rights, right? Or go even further, like during mass incarceration, take away the family. Like they've been constantly. The key to our oppression has been the breakup of our families, breaking up our family dynamics. That's been the key to white supremacy from day one. And I think educating our children, true Black history, in that regard, like, hey, this is how important family is, right? You're going to have sex education. You're going to have all of these, subjects that you're going to learn, but we need you to learn what a family dynamic looks like, right? Two parents in a household loving, for each other, teaching, homeschooling, like all of the components that comes with being in a family. I think that education needs to be illuminated with our children. Also, just the power of effective communication, right? We grew up, a lot of us in the Black community grew up with a warped perception of what a relationship looks like, what that kind of growth looks like. It's like, where do we even get the term strong Black woman from? Somebody mentioned it earlier, and it's like, who said you have to be like that? Well, society did when they took away the father, or like society did when they broke away the home. So just effective communication in your dating stages. What do you like? What do you don't like? Be honest to you. Be authentic to you. All of these things contribute to parenting, to being, a family. Because yes, it does happen. You could be a parent at 16, 17, right?
Mhm.
How did you get there? You were just having fun. You were just doing, there wasn't enough communicating. What are your goals? What kind of family do you want? And this is not to condemn anyone that's a teen parent. I know a bunch of them and they turned out amazing. It's just the lack of communicating. What do you want? What are your goals? We all horny. We all got about. We all human. We all trying to have fun. We all were teenagers. We were all there. But if we teach them how to effectively communicate your wants, your needs, your goals, your vision for life, like that kind of healthy communication can avoid a lot of early pregnancies and I'm trying to be careful with my words, unpreparedness for a family.
I like
Starting with
unpreparedness.
family, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes in. You can't go everywhere you want to go to anymore. You can't do everything you want to do anymore. Your time has literally been taken from you. Before, my wife and I want to go on a simple date, we got to call about 7 different people, see who could watch the kids. Like those little things we don't consider at 14, 15, 16. Nobody thinking about that. We just trying to get it on. Right? From a male's perspective, I wasn't thinking about that. I'm just trying to get it on, like whatever. So I think the history of the Black family dynamic needs to be taught to our young people, and just healthy communication on relationships is vital.
Perfect. Thank you, Dale, for that perspective. We really enjoyed that. And I think you're totally right about us really showing our young people that family matters. And when you build that team and that partnership, even within your own households, even with your own children, it makes you a powerhouse, right? It puts your whole family and your lineage into a different way because you're connecting with each other, right? So Erica, what's your perspective on this?
I'm sitting here listening from what Nubia said and what Deo said. And, it is, when you look at it historically as people of African descent in America, and you think about from slavery, how families were separated. You think about Jim Crow, how, Black men were incarcerated in the South for, winking at someone. Then you go to mass incarceration. It is, we have continuously, as Blacks in America, we have continuously been put through these. Fast forward to welfare. A lot of times you have to be a single mother for welfare.
Yes.
The father cannot be in the household. So you're telling me now, in order for me to support my family, I have to be single and have no other choice, like Deo said, but to be strong. Me personally, I hate the term strong Black woman, because I'm like, there's some days I don't want to be strong. I have 3 children, and I lost my fiance 4 years ago. Their dad. I lost their dad, my younger 2 children's dad, and I lost my oldest son's father. And it's, and I said to myself, when they passed, I said, you know what, Erica, you don't have to be strong. If there's a day or a week you feel like sitting there and crying but at the end of the day, I still have to feed my children. I still have to take care of my family. But I would tell people, they were like, oh, Erica, you're so strong. And I'd be like, no, I'm not feeling strong today. And they're like, what? And I would tell them, it's okay to not be okay. I will bounce back, but today I'm not bouncing at all. So I think also we have to, that leads into, that going back to the family planning piece, when I worked at Planned Parenthood, we used to see so many teens, and we drilled them with, being prepared for family planning and STDs and teen pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And now I think with social media, and with microwave, I I was at the high school the other day, and some girls, what did she say about, she was like, well, who has AIDS anymore? And I said, and I was walking by, and I said, you know what? I said, we don't even hear about that much anymore, because people are dying from diabetes at a greater rate than people are dying from AIDS. So it's like, oh, well, if you get that, you take a pill. You don't even hear about that big push anymore. I mean, which is great that there is medication that, but STDs, no clue. But I do believe now with social media, they are more, and especially with teen pregnancy rates in African American communities being at an all-time low rate now. It is because we have these young ladies out here that, listen, they see their mom with their little ones, and especially during the pandemic, they have to take care, Zoom from school home, and also watch their younger siblings, boys and girls. And a lot of these kids, they're like, I don't want to be a parent. I want to be single. I want to wait till I'm older to have children, which I think is great that there is a part of teens that they're rare, that they are more like, you know what? I'd rather, hold off until I'm prepared and live my life before starting a family. So it's definitely changed over the years. It definitely has.
Yeah. Tabia?
Everybody took all the good answers. I will say that exposure ultimately is the best approach, because for example, a lot of young people, sex ed in school was their first exposure to anatomically correct body parts, and just understanding themselves. And it's like Dayo's been saying, there's not enough emphasis on the individual. So a lot of them are not feeling seen. A lot of them feel misrepresented. And then they're leading each other, which is scary. I know that's how I had my hand held, by my peers, which is crazy. So something that I've started doing, or I knew when it was my turn to become a parent, I was going to expose my children from, the birth. So my children have been present, like right at my births. I've had home births, and they understand, okay, this is how you should come into the world. This is how, it looks to have a village mindset and have support. And I understand that that's not all of our experience. And I understand that, it will happen. The more that we have this conversation, and the more importance we place on family rearing. Also, another approach while we're in our families now is to have more meetings and understand how to move as a unit. I think in the same conversation, we don't plan for our deaths. We often are left with the burdens of burying people who we didn't expect to go, for a myriad of issues. So it's having like a holistic approach to who we want to be in the very near future, because the way we've been doing things, we've seen where that road goes. So it really becomes up to us to take responsibility, take accountability moving forward, and make better choices.
Yeah, thank you for that share. That makes sense. And, especially mentioning that whole burying our people towards the end. We always, these GoFundMes pop out of nowhere real quick. And we know we were brought here to live, and we were definitely brought here. Someday we will die, and we don't prepare our families for that, and prepare our situations. And we can, it's not that complicated, right? To put certain things in place when we're so much younger. So when our time comes, when it's time for us to leave this earth, that our families just don't have to worry about those things. So that's a really good offering of information there, that we do need to talk about something like that, and really sharing with families on how they can get things out there. Okay. So in that chat, let's start with the chat real quick. So we have a comment here. As a single mom for over a decade, my daughter is 19 and in college full-time and working full-time. Without my village and the community support along her path, she would not be able to path to years today. Yeah, and it really matters. They have to be my sister. She's part of my overall village. We have like 15 of us, so we're actually really lucky. But some people don't have that. So you have your chosen family, what that looks like. So my last question for you all is one of the most important questions to me, because children with differing abilities matter so much, right? And the Daisy Dream Project is going to be focused so much on that particular community of individuals because they need more than everybody else. And they need the world to not necessarily see them as special, but see them as different. And they need the world to respect their experience in the world, right? So it's like even children who are on the spectrum, we want, in a lot of cases, we work so hard to try to change them so they can meet our standards. No, the world needs to actually adjust to who they are as individuals and respect their experience in the world. And that's one of the major things that Daisy Dream Project will be offering out to communities. So as creating a safe space, from your experience, for parents of children with diagnosed disabilities and what that looks like, what are some words that you can give to them to tell them that it's okay and that they are different and there's nothing wrong with that? Who would like to go first? Nubia.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love to say just the concept of celebrating our differences and our uniquenesses is so important, even when we're talking about differing abilities, but just in who we are. You know, Dayo's been talking a lot about individuality and really being able to highlight that. You know, we're not all going to like the same things. We're not all going to feel drawn to the same things, but celebrating, you know, that true, unique part of who we are. And, you know, I believe that our children are the ancestors returned. And, you know, we get to watch them as they kind of come from this other realm and come into, you know, a community or a society that tries to shape them. And I think if we step back a little bit, right, from trying to mold them to what we think they should be, we learn so much from our children. I mean, I have 5 children. They all have complete different personalities. The way in which I have to rear them, the way in which I even, you know, reprimand them is very different because they each have, you know, a different way that they respond. So that has taught me that even within our household, I have to, you know, be varied in my approach. I have to be pliable. I can't be just, you know, really strict. And our ancestors, our, you know, foremothers and fathers, they didn't have that ability. Like, it was a matter of survival. So you had to be one way. And, you know, you had to fall in line as a child, you know, that whole era of, you know, be seen, not heard. I want to hear my children. I want to hear what's on their hearts. I want to hear their challenges, their triumphs, their struggles, their, you know, their story. I really want to hear that. And I think that goes for all of our children, regardless of, you know, their learning abilities, their physical, you know, different abilities. We really need to embrace them as unique, as special, as beautiful, and as powerful. They're really powerful teachers. So it's a two-way street. You know, yes, we're teaching them, but they're also teaching us.
Yeah, great, Nubia. Thank you for that share. I appreciate you with that because it is about the individualization. You know, I'm an advocate for that. I think all children need to have an IEP, which is the individual educational plan, especially children in public schools. There's no reason why we don't have the resources where we're saying every child has an IEP, because every child learns differently. If we sit here and take the time to investigate them a little bit deeper, we'll have far more success. You know, even at my program, Colin Island Child Development Center, I'm proud to say that 40% of my population has an IEP or IFSP. I don't know, like, really? Yes, they do. And I'm sitting here, I'm going to find every little thing that might be challenged about your child today to make sure by the time they're 5 and they walk out of my program, those challenges no longer exist. Or they've learned to manage those challenges and they're still able to learn and socialize and engage and be their best self out here, right? So it's just really about what we value, what we're really putting into our children. So Erica, what's your perspective?
You know, this has been like this week. It's so funny with this question, because today I was on the phone and I tell parents, any parents out there who have a child with a developmental disability, with a disability, the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, they have this amazing, there are funds to help you. There are programs that they will get you to. They are, I mean, it is, it's on the, I'll put their website in the chat. They have, if you have, if your child is about 17, 18, about to transition out of high school, they have a self-direct program that pays families up to $60,000 a year.
Hey, Erica, your sound is dropping out a little bit.
Can you hear me now? Is it still?
And you're saying something really important, so I want to make sure you're heard.
Oh wait, no. Can you hear me
There
now?
you go.
There we go.
Yes. There you go.
Um,
Share now, because I know I hear
okay.
you in the background. Go.
The office for people with developmental disabilities, OPWDD. You can Google it. I will put their website in the chat. They have programs for families with children who have developmental disabilities. There are some programs that they offer up to $60,000 a year to that individual. I mean, it's an amazing program. If your child is a late teen transitioning out of high school, they have the self-direct program. It finds them jobs. It's an amazing. So one thing that I'm doing actually on November 1st, I'm having the Westchester County Office of Community Health train me so then I can go into the special education classrooms for students who have disabilities and educate them and their parents about this. Because that's funny because I'm recently going through getting my 7-year-old daughter an IEP because she's dyslexic. And I'm just like, why doesn't every parent, there are so many children that need these IEPs, that need that evaluation. And speaking of in Black and brown communities, we have that stigma that, can you hear me? We have that stigma of, oh no, nothing's wrong with Jamal. Look, Jamal is just fine. He doesn't need an IEP. He doesn't need special education. And I'm like, and I tell parents that it is detrimental to the child to not seek that IEP. That IEP, that special education, those resources that are given to your child will help them flourish. And we, in our community, in Black and brown communities, we have got to stop with my child doesn't need medication. No, maybe a child doesn't need a pill maybe once a day just to help them out, because that makes them a better student. That makes them a better, they can focus more. We have to stop this, oh no, I don't want an IEP for my child. This is something that we have got to work on and break that wall down and say, no, IEPs are great. IEPs, that individual educational plan, that's what is so important for your success. So that's something we definitely have to work on.
Agreed. Tabia, what you got? Especially from the homeschooling perspective, right? I'm really interested to hear what you have to say in regards to individual education plan, even though with homeschooling, you really get to individualize because you get to really know these people for real. So tell me, what's your thoughts?
You do get to learn your child, and every child is different. Every child learns differently. I think for a lot of children in that community, however, there's not enough education for everyone else. It's them versus everyone else, and there needs to be more of togetherness, more understanding, more we are equals. You just learn, like you said, differently. You just have a different understanding, a different awareness than I do. I believe that affirmations really help to create kind of like a equal playing field, and just understanding at the human level how to deal with one another. And like Dayo's been saying, effective communication, it really just starts with us, starts with self, and again, modeling the behaviors we'd like to see. And then it's up to us to become more educated so that we can meet everyone where they are. It really does take a village.
Yeah, thank you. Dayo.
I'm gonna just put my personal experience. I have a brother who grew up with Down syndrome, and one thing my mother did that was just, I still look up to her for it today. She held her social workers accountable. Like, she stayed on top of his social worker to make sure he got all of the services that she needed. And even when things weren't clear to her, she will go up there herself, take my brother and drag him up there herself and say, I don't understand what's going on. Why is this happening? Why? Like, she was a true advocate for him. So that's the only thing I can add to that, is to make sure these social workers, whoever the social worker of the child is thoroughly doing their job, because they can either slack off, or sometimes they just have a large caseload and may overlook your child in some way. So just having the social worker doing their job and staying on their toes is huge, on top of what everyone else has already contributed.
No, Dale, thank you for that. And that's just, it really is flows back to being advocates for your children, right? And you bring them into this world to provide them, to fulfill what you need and what you want. But our job is ultimately to be their biggest cheerleader. And what other way can we be their biggest cheerleader to make sure that they're getting the resources that they need? And these resources are free. Our community, we're big on that by not necessarily advocating for our kids to get this stuff. Early intervention, CPSC, you don't pay for these therapists who in New York State and Westchester County are making $110 an hour to come work with your child on speech and gross motor skills and all this other stuff. These people are well-educated individuals and specialists who are going to give your child the skills that they need to be successful. And unfortunately, in our community, we handicap our children so often because we're so scared of what it looks like, or my child's gonna be in a special education classroom and what it's going to be. My son was in special education until the 5th grade. I was one of those people I didn't want to acknowledge, right? And that's why I think I'm so invested now in the process, because I really should have got him help earlier, because my son didn't start reading till he was almost 8 because he couldn't see. He has phonic dyslexia. So sounds, he could not hear. He still can't hear letter sounds. He's 17 years old. He does well now. He's in a private school. He's doing great. But it took me a while to catch on. So now when I see parents and they're like, oh no, he's 18 months old, I'm not sure if he has everything he needs. Let's get him evaluated. People think I'm bugging sometimes, but I'm like, no, if we do this now, I know from experience that your child is going to be better off. Your child's going to thrive, okay? We don't put our children in survival mode in classroom settings. It's really about them thriving and being their best. So getting children evaluated is such a key thing, and finding the resources on once you get your children evaluated, and making sure if they're in public schools that they're getting all the resources that they deserve, right? All the things that they're really entitled to, because they're entitled to so much and it takes so much work to keep that constant follow-up, okay? So that was my last question, and thank you all. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. I think this conversation has been great. At this point in time, do we have any questions out there in the audience? Any questions? Let me open up my screen so I can see y'all. Any questions out there? My team in the background, do we have any questions in any of the chats that we're monitoring on social media? Any questions, any comments?
I have a question.
No.
What advice would you give to parents who wonder if their children need IEPs? What to look out for?
There's a lot to look out for. There's a lot to look out for. Most children, honestly, I can meet a child probably 9 months old and probably say if they need IEP or IFSP, because the skills, it has to do with their development, honestly, from when a child was born. So if a child is, say for speech, if a young person who struggles to eat different texture foods, you have a baby who doesn't want to chew things that are harder, right? And all they want to do is constantly suck in on bottles or eat only soft foods, that's a trigger for, okay, that they might be later on have a language delay. Is because they have low tone, they don't have the muscles in their mouth. So it's really about challenging our children and giving them the independent skills to do the small things. So like people say, when we have our babies coloring, yeah, so right now they're not getting the correct pencil grip. They can't hold a pencil the correct way, where they're not flipping it, where all of a sudden their pen is like this way it needs to be. Ultimately, that has to do with the fact that they don't have the fine motor skills they need. So they probably need OT, which is going to affect their writing later on. Okay, if you have children who are not alternating legs when they're walking up the steps by the time they're 2 years old, right? That means they're going to possibly struggle with their gross motor skills. Now, most of the time when these young people are experiencing these little micro things, is we don't really know. And a lot of parents really don't know. And I think that's part of the process of the Daisy Dream Project, is to really offer opportunities for individuals to learn that type of information, right? Have access to spaces where you can go and say, hey, you know what? My kid is 3. I think I can understand them, but my mom can't. And they may not be in a school that's necessarily advocating for them in the right way, because unfortunately, there's some early childhood programs who service as babysitters. They're not really out there to ensure that children are getting everything that they need. Or they might be in home daycare, which is a loving, inviting environment, but the individual may not have the skill sets as certain individuals. So I think for parents, it's really about doing your research and following up with stuff. And there's nothing wrong with just doing an evaluation. They're actually free. Just run your child through. I know people who have gotten their children evaluated from when they were younger, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with them. But the level of security to figure out as 18 months, because I thought they didn't have enough words, and they got this evaluation, and now they said they were okay. Okay, I can breathe easy. It doesn't cost you anything to call early intervention. It doesn't cost you anything to go to your school district and get a CPSE evaluation by experts to say development of your kid is okay. Don't be scared of it. Just get it done. Okay, any other thoughts? Questions? No? All right, so we're going to transition into the second part of our program. But before we get started,
Yeah.
excuse me, mute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're back now. All right, so before we're going to transition into a little bit of a commercial, because I want to share this here with you all, and then we're going to get talking about social emotional. And hold on, let me cue myself back over here and to get ready, and let's share my screen. Y'all like my commercial? Those are my young people. I love them. And they wore little hoodies. And like my favorite, like Lil Carson with his in his hand. He's like a super duper duper cool kid. Super duper cool kid. So we love them. So we're going to transition into some thoughts we have about social emotional. And so I'm going to first bring out Dr. Clarissa Henry, because I don't want to mispronounce your last name. Dr. Clarissa, oh, there you are, darling. Hello, thank you for joining us today. Unmute yourself for me, please. Thank you.
Hi.
Please give your whole name and let's talk a little bit about your book.
My name is Dr. Clarissa Henry Adekambi, and I'm a school psychologist working at the elementary level, which I've done for a number of years now. And I'm just so pleased to be part of this event and to hear so many important conversations happening. So thank you for having me here. It truly does take a village, and I've heard that throughout as everyone spoke. And I work in the school system, but really the work that I do is not possible without families. And the work that I do with families is not possible without the whole community working together, because we need that sort of support. And together we meet children where they are, and we lay down some of those essential blocks so that they can grow with their social emotional skills. Through social emotional learning, children, they are able to learn more about themselves. They're able to learn more about themselves and their identity, and more about themselves as learners. They're able to learn relationship skills and how to build empathy. They're able to gain independence as they become more responsible with the decisions that they have to make. And it really is connected with positive outcomes such as greater emotional health and higher levels of academic achievement. And it really helps to build up psychological wealth. So I did write 2 books. The first book is Amani the Fixer, named after my daughter Amani, which I'll show you. And Amani the Fixer, the social emotional skill that it focuses on is teaching children how to fix small problems by themselves. As I've worked with children in the school system and also with my own children at home, I noticed that sometimes children have a big reaction to a small problem, but when they learn the skills to be able to stop in the moment and to put things in perspective by sizing the problem, their brain is then able to refocus on solutions. And that's what Amani the Fixer helps to do with the 5 S's. The first S stands for stop and check your feelings. The second S stands for staying calm and using a calm down strategy so that you're able to stay calm. The third S represents say the problem, being able to learn how to say the problem without blaming anyone, because we know that blaming helps to make small problems bigger. The fourth step is to size the problem. That helps you put it in perspective. Is it a small problem? Is it a big problem? Or is it in the middle? And then that last step, the final S stands for solution time. And that's being able to refocus the brain on those solutions and find solutions that will work for everyone. And through these 5 steps in Imani the Fixer, the book is very interactive and engaging, and there is a wealth of diversity within the text representing children from different cultural backgrounds, as well as children from different ability groups too. And the second book that I wrote is a book that I wrote with my brother, David Henry, called I'm Loving Me. And this was based on a poem that he wrote. And what it does is it focuses on the positive messages that members of a child's village pours into them. And then also children being able to look at themselves and love themselves as they see themselves. And the book recognizes that children have a variety of different members that may pour into them. Some children might have mom or dad, but other children, it might be the godparents, or it could be a teacher or a coach. So throughout the book, there are lots of examples of different members of a child's village. And then also children being able to take that step back and look at themselves and love themselves authentically. So when you look through, the characters are really friendly, kid-friendly, and a nice, fun way to be able to teach children those important social emotional learning skills.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. And how can people actually find your books?
You can find the books on Amazon.com. You can go to Amazon, and if you look up Amani the Fixer, or you look up I'm Loving Me, you'll be able to find the books. And you could also look up my name on Amazon, Clarissa Henry Adekambi, and you will be able to purchase the books that way too.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So next, I'm going to bring up the authors of the Kids Grief Journal. And they have a little bit of a slideshow that I'm going to share. Just hold on, bear with me here with a little bit of technology. Let me share my screen again. All right. And let's present. And here we go. Hello.
That's okay. Good evening.
Oh, there you are. I said, where'd they go? I saw her. All right.
Good
Go ahead.
evening, Dr. Flo. And the panel, we really loved the wealth of information that you've shared. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So Diana and my name is Sandra Sharif and Diana Hamlet. We both created journals and brief resources for children and teens. So you probably just have to go to the next slide and we will share the electronic version a little later. So you can stop at that one right there, please. So this is the first journal that we created, a kids brief journal for children and teens. So personally, as parents, we created these social, emotional resources and tools because we saw the need from our children personally that have dealt with grief and different difficulties. Professionally, I'm an assistant principal and reading specialist, and Diana is a court-appointed special advocate for children in foster care. And so working with children and teens and seeing them go through working with counselors and sometimes having difficulty expressing themselves, we truly saw the need for children to be able to write down what they are thinking and how they are feeling. And so within the brief journal, if you can go to the next slide, there are short prompts that are child-friendly and open-ended. And so there's no right or wrong answer. And the expressions of that children give can be, there's no length to it. So it can be as short as they want it to be or as long as they want it to be. These prompts also are a way for children and teens to have conversations with the caregiver adult that's with them. And so again, the Kids Brief Journal is one that can be used with children in the elementary level or even younger, because again, you're having those conversations with children. Diana.
Okay, yes. And here is a kid's mood tracker, and it is recommended for grades pre-K through 6. And can you just go to the next slide? It's just a sample page. Okay, and as you can see, we did choose colorful emojis for children to identify with on how they're feeling. We also included space for them so that they could either write down or draw how they're feeling. And this journal is a great tool to help children control, manage, and monitor their feelings and emotions. Next slide.
Yes, and so another journal that we created was a reflective brief journal for children and teens. Again, this could be used with middle school and high school students. It's another social emotional resource that was created for them that has strategies, a mood tracker, and again, assist children and teens with monitoring how they are feeling and also having those conversations. Throughout the panel discussion, we did hear that it is great, again, to collaborate and talk with your children just to have, to see what they are thinking and how they are feeling. And so these resources were created for just that.
Okay, and we also created these children's wristbands. We named them the Motivational, Inspirational, Affirmation, and Strategy wristband. And so they're just daily reminders that can be worn by children and teens to inspire positive praise, confidence, uplift their self-esteem, and empower them. And the orange one you see, that's our strategy one. It says, stay calm, breathe, and smile. And that's a good coping strategy that children can try when they need to calm down and combat negative emotions. And just so you know, these wristbands also could be worn by adults as well.
Yeah, so please visit us at kidsbriefjournal.com. Also, if you are in a position of working with a school that has a social emotional learning grant, again, this is something that can be useful at the school level and the community centers as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Yes,
Thank you so much for sharing. That was great. That was great. That was great. So again, the Daisy Dream Project is all about building connections and working with other individuals and partnerships, because that's the way that we are going to make sure that people find the information that they know. So I'm going to be a space for information. So please come out, make sure you're following us on our Instagram, the Daisy Dream Project on Instagram. Okay, our website is www.daisydreamproject.org. All right, so it's my baby. I'm really excited about all the work we're going to be doing and everybody I'm going to be partnering with. Again, I want to say thank you to everybody who participated today, the panel, thank you for everybody who's come on. I'm actually so thrilled to see so many individuals come and actually listen directly and be hands-on in this conversation, because this conversation matters. Okay, I'm really, really excited for all of you to be here. Thank you so much. So there's a couple of things I'm also going to share with you all about how you can actually get involved with the Daisy Dream Project. So we will be having a thing over at Collin Allen called Sensory Saturday. Our first one is going to be here. It's going to be on, let me put that on here. The date is actually November the 5th. All right, November the 5th from 11 to 1 at 103 West 2nd Street, Mount Vernon, New York. It's going to be Sensory Saturdays, where we're going to be opening up the school and it's going to be lunch included where parents can come with their children. It's going to be age appropriate for children as early as 6 to 9 months, all the way to children probably about 10 years old. 11 and 12-year-olds might say, hey, this is not for me, but they definitely can come out and support. It's going to be a great space where we're going to be having experts in the space to talk to parents. There's, again, going to be free food for families who come and participate at this event. More information is going to be coming out. Our first one is going to be on December the 5th. We're going to be doing this at Collin Allen every first Saturday of the month. I'm just also in a space where I'm just giving back to our community and making sure we have access to them. Another thing that I'm doing is offering education here in Mount Vernon for the NEDP program, which is the National External Diploma Program, is coming through me at Destination Tomorrow, where individuals can come and actually be there. Looking to actually do Saturday school at Collin Allen as well for adults who need their high school diploma. The NEDP is a 100% online-based program. It's actually quite simple. It's one of the additional pathways to get your diploma in the state of New York, where people will come in and get hours of tutoring, and then as a home, they can do it from home. It's really created for adults who are working and who have working families as well. So we'll be offering that through Collin Allen as well. I'm looking to enroll massive amounts of people. So if you know anybody who needs a high school diploma, please share their information with me and have them reach out. I have an information session next week on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. You'll find that information on my website, www.blacklawyeverythingllc.com, and it'll also be available on the Daisy Dream website as well, and circling through my social media. Okay, Nubia, I'm gonna let you share that in 1 second because you're gonna give your closing remarks. So you can hold that for a second. Nubia put some information about some things that she's offering as well. And one of the last things I want to do is go through the how you can donate. So you definitely can donate directly on the Daisy Dream website, www.daisydreamproject.org. Please donate. You can come on there and click the link to donate funds on there. It's going to take you through a special sheet and we'll be able to invoice you directly. We're working on to be able to donate directly through our website. That will be available by the end of this week, and maybe even by midnight tonight. I don't know, but definitely donate. The more funding that comes in, and what these funds would be used for is going to be supporting the Sensory Saturdays, is going to be supporting the opening of the Sensory Gym. I'm looking for locations and we've got to raise funds to do so. And it's going to be also supporting interns and individuals who will be available to help with getting the message out there and doing the research to really build this project for as a connector to other organizations, like some of the organizations that you met today. So please donate, please donate, please donate. You know, even $5 matter. Thank you. I appreciate you. But lastly, again, I would like to thank the people who participated in this panel this evening. And I would like to give them a moment to be able to close out with giving out some of their information and how they can be reached. So Nubia, we're going to start off with you.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting, me to be part of this panel discussion. Super grateful to just connect with other organizations and to hear about the amazing things that you are doing in your respective community. And the only thing I wanted to share was we're having a screening of the documentary Aftershock. If you haven't got a chance to watch it yet, it follows the story of two young Black women who actually lost their lives giving birth to their children, but what their partners and family and community are doing to continue to uplift them and turn this whole maternal mortality and morbidity rate disparities around. So that's going to be November 10th at the Grinton Iowa Library in Yonkers at 5:30. And I put my email in the chat, so please feel free to reach out and I'll send the link. It's a free event and love to have people come out and support. And thank you so much, Dr. Glow.
Perfect. Thank you, Nubia, for that. So that information will also be shared across my social media, and we'll put it on our email blast out to everybody who registered today. So next, let's have Erica. Erica, did you tap out on us, Erica? Maybe she lost connection. So let's slide over to Dale.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for having me on. Last remarks. I appreciate any and everything that has to do with community. So just putting this together and having these beautiful minds just share our experiences and what we bring to the table. Having these kind of conversations always promote community and allow us to move forward as a people. So I'm looking forward in any way I can contribute to the Daisy Dream Project. Please let me know. I am able and willing to sow whatever gifts I have to give, monetarily, physically, in person, like whatever. I am all for this. This is amazing. Congratulations.
Perfect. And Daya, where can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me and my first and last name, Dayo Olatoken, DAYOOLATOKUN, on Instagram, Facebook, all of them. They're all the same. Dayo Olatoken, all of things.
All right, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tabia?
Thank you, Dr. Pope, for this opportunity. I think it's a really, really great initiative, what you're doing. I love how you're supporting your community and getting us one step closer to where we need to be. If anyone is interested in keeping up with a homeschooling mom's journey of gardening and raising holistically aware children, and that includes the spectrum of birth as well, you can follow me on Instagram at Business Garden Homeschool Mom. It's long, but it gets to the point. And you can get resources there from me, as well as just get a peek in, and that we are doing it. We are out here being the first teachers in our family. And yeah, that's that. Thank you again.
Perfect. No, thank you again for participating today. And again, this has been phenomenal. I'm thoroughly excited about, and I feel more motivated to really get this work up and running and start really getting the work done. And I think that all of you on here who came to be part of the conversation, and our panelists and our authors on here today, thank you for your shares as well. This has definitely been a phenomenal evening. So I'm going to close it out with that. I want to thank you all again. I'm going to share one last slide with everybody because it's the most important fact that I have going for myself, and that's to donate today. And I'm actually going to leave this running on social media. So I'm closing out now. Thank you all for your time and your energy and your everything for just showing up here for this event. I appreciate you. Thank you and good night.